Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies, featuring the Disney Villains, Devilishly Delicious Villains cookbook. We cooked up codfish and chips last week, which is basically oil-fried fish and chips. So now we're on to the last recipe of the month, the dessert. We're going to make some cookies as we make temper hearts. Let's go through the story first. The Queen of Hearts is always losing her temper, and then shouting hot-headed things like, "Silence!" and of course, "Off with her head." Now, I don't know if that's actually how the Queen of Hearts sounds, because I don't really watch much for Disney movies. These Rabbit Heart Sugar cookies display some of the iconic sayings of the Queen and her husband, the King of Hearts, in bold white icing. Decorate with whatever phrases and shapes, like suits from playing cards or roses. Find meringue powder at a local crafts or baking store, or find powdered egg white replacement at a grocery store. My decorating skills never got much past stick figures, so these are not going to be decorated most likely. As you can see, the nerdy chef decided he needed a nerdy apron. So my local game store has this section where you can pick up damaged goods for a discount, and they happen to have a damaged bundle of the My Pokemon cookbook and this apron for, I think it was like 30 some odd bucks. I decided to grab it because A, like I said, the nerdy chef needed a nerdy apron, and B, it's another cookbook that I can look into for Mystical Munchies that might get on the channel at some point. But with that slight ramble aside, the ingredients are waiting for us at the table, so I'm going to go ahead and mute my computer speakers, and then we're going to head in the direction of the table. No bonus points for guessing at the layout, but we do have somewhat of a two-part recipe. So we're going to need to make cookies, and then we're going to need to make the icing. Apparently I also need to take English lessons. But for the cookies, we're going to need 2.5 cups of flour plus more for rolling. I'm going to bring the cookbook into shot so I have all the amounts available to me. Actually, it's just out of shot. We need a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon each of baking soda and salt. We need a cup of butter, which is also known as 2 sticks of butter, which I've got right here. We need an egg, which I've got in here. We also need a cup of granulated sugar, that's up here. 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and I believe that, and they say 2 teaspoons of red food coloring. I'm just going to squeeze this whole container of red food coloring in. For the frost, for the icing, we need 4 cups of confectioners sugar, which I can't believe I didn't see it on here, but it's actually on the bag. I spent a little bit of time yesterday in Walmart because I had confectioners sugar on the grocery list. I'm like, what the hell is confectioners sugar? So I looked it up, and it turns out it's just powdered sugar. So I was like, oh, I needed that for a recipe last month. So I ended up having a batch in stock, but that's a little ramble on that. 3 tablespoons of what's called meringue powder, and then the 2 tablespoons here is to represent that we need 6 tablespoons of water for the icing. With that, let's move into the kitchen and start putting the recipe together. I've got the cord plugged in here for the hand mixer because I'll need that, but I don't need it yet. I just wanted to make sure it's ready to go. So the first step here, once we move into the kitchen, is in a medium bowl, which I've got right here. We're going to combine the flour, baking powder, baking soda, and salt. So we'll start off with the flour. I'm going to put that off to the side here. This 1.5 cup container isn't going to fit, so I'm going to have to pour into it, which could be a questionable experience, but we'll find out. Oh. Let me see if I can break this up so it pours a little better. I might have to add more flour in here anyway. Ooh. Okay, that's a little bit of a generous 1.5 cups, but I think that'll work. I'll bring that out of the way, and then I do need to pour in a bit more flour because I don't think I have enough in there. Okay, the 1 cup will fit, but I want to pour more flour in first. I'm going to do this over the sink. I'm not going to be an idiot about this. Okay. We got all that. I'll take care of. Here's the clip for that. Here's the other cup of flour. I'm going to scoop this out over the. I'm going to scoop this out over the top. There we go. Okay. That can move to the dishes. Both the canister of flour and the bag. After I wash my hands. Come on, there we go. I'm trying to tear off a piece of paper towel. But both the canister and the bag of flour can go back up because we're done with those. Let's see, next we want the teaspoon of baking powder. We've used this before on the channel. There's the baking powder. Do we need the teaspoon for anything else, or can I drop that? Okay, that can go into the dishes as well. And the baking powder can go up. Half teaspoon each of baking soda and salt, because I've got to be careful not to jar the camera too much. Okay, that's a little bit more than half a teaspoon of salt, but I'm being generous with some of the other portions. And the baking soda. Alright, the half teaspoon can go into the dishes as well. The baking soda and the salt can both go up. And we'll give those, then we'll combine those. Okay. I think that's as combined as that's going to get. So now we want to put that off to the side, and we're going to need a bigger bowl. They want you to do this next part. There's a couple of steps in this recipe that you have to do, that they want you to do in a stand mixer. I don't own a stand mixer, so I'm going to make do with my hand mixer. That's why that's plugged in. So now we're going to take a big mixing bowl, and we're going to take the cup of sugar. Thankfully, my half cup fits in here nicely. We'll go 1 and 2 without dropping the canister, Phoenix. There we go. That can also go back up, along with the half cup measuring cup going into the dishes. Then we want to take our cup of butter, which they want this to be softened, but considering it just came out of the fridge, I put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. Hopefully that'll help soften it up enough. Okay. Bring that to the dishes as well. So now that that's done, now they want us to beat this until it's fluffy, about 3 minutes. So I've got a 3-minute timer set on my watch, which I'll use to keep time for this. I wonder if the reason why they want you to use a stand mixer is so you don't hurt your hand. Admittedly, some of that could also be the bowl I'm using, but yowza, that hurt. Okay. So next they want you to add the egg, which I've got right here. See if we can add that in. We'll bring this overshot just a touch without getting any shell in there, please. Looks like we got all that nice and clear. All right, that can get put away as well. The vanilla is 1.5 teaspoons of that. One, two, three. That was the half teaspoon I was using. That's why I was counting out 3 of those. The vanilla can go back up as well. And we want the red food coloring as well. So we've got our tube right here. There we are. We'll just squirt the whole thing in. Alright, I think that's as much of that as we can get. Okay. That'll work for me. Alright, then we'll beat that for around another minute. Got another timer here for that. Somebody's got a birthday coming up. Didn't mean to jar the camera there. Somebody's got a birthday coming up. Maybe he should consider asking for a stand mixer so I don't have to use my hand mixer so often. But yeah, that will do it for that part of the recipe. Now we need the flour mixture back in shot. Now we need to slowly add the flour mixture and mix until fully combined. I'm going to see if I can shake a little bit more of that batter off. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to mix it. The problem is I'm not sure if I'm supposed to mix this by hand or if they have the mixer and the stand mixer in mind. My guess is they have the mixer still in mind at this point, but so yeah, I think the way we're gonna have to do this is we're gonna add a little bit of the flour, then mix with the mixer, then a little bit more of the flour, then mix it more. So the mixer is going to be on and off. I probably should have given a warning before I started using the mixer the first couple of times, but the mixer is going to be constantly on and off in this segment. Let me adjust the camera just a little bit. The mixer is going to be off and on constantly during this segment, so if you're wearing headphones, I would suggest not wearing headphones during this segment. So okay, go ahead and mix that in. Okay, light a little bit more of the flour. Okay. And I think we'll just go ahead and dump in the last of the flour here. See if we can scrape some of this off the edge of the bowl. And we'll mix the last of that in. That is probably about as good as it's going to get on the dough. So, That's what it's looking like right now. So the next part of this is we're actually going to divide the dough in half. Stop jarring the camera, Phoenix. We're going to divide the dough in half, wrapping each half in plastic wrap, which I've got right here. I'll do that off shot. Then we're going to let that refrigerate for for about an hour. So by the magic of editing, it'll seem like I'm coming back to this in a moment, but it'll actually be about an hour. I had a bit of a brain fart with the flour and forgot that I needed to flour up a work surface, which is what I've done here. I'm also going to start the oven preheating to 350. I'll bring the cookbook a little bit closer so I know what I'm doing. Anyway, we'll take one of the dough halves at a time. We just grab this first one out, put it down on the floured surface. Easy does it. Then that can hit the bin. And now we want to take a rolling pin and roll it down to about an 1/8 inch thickness. So let's go ahead and see about doing that here. Oh boy. This is, well, that's not good. This is not rolling the way I was hoping it would. I wonder if I have to flour the pin? Seems to be flattening fine. Let me see if flouring the pin does anything. Probably not, but... yeah. Well, it seems to be going, but I should probably mention that I've never really done much with a rolling pin before, so this is also going to be a very interesting experience. Well, that seems to be working a little bit better. I think I was maybe expecting it to all adhere a little better. Well, that seems to be working, I think. I think it'd feel better if it was a little more uniform, but I don't think we're getting much for uniformity out of this. Okay, that seems like a good place to start, so we'll bring that out of shot. That may be a little thin for comfort, but we've got our heart-shaped cookie cutter right here, so let's see what we can do with this. Yeah, no, I think that's going to be too thin. So let me see if I can... yeah, that is way too thin. I do not trust that at all. So we're going to see if we can maybe roll this up to be a little thicker. They want about 1/8 of an inch. I think they want 1/8 of an inch of thickness, but I almost feel like that's going to be too thin. Okay, let's see what happens here. Because the problem is I also figure I need to be able to lift it clean out. Okay, that one worked. I gotta figure out a nice, easy way. Okay, getting under that kind of works. Okay. Easy does it. Okay, that one's out. I can probably get one more out of this cut before I gotta re-roll it. That's not lifting clean out. There it goes. Okay, should be able to put that one there. Yeah, now I'm gonna have to re-roll this batch. See if we can clump it together like that. Okay, bring the baking pin back, bring the rolling pin back in. See if it rolls this way decently well. Okay. Cut another few cookies out of here. Under that, there we go. We'll do another pass of this. That's always the challenge here seems to be so far lifting the cookie out after you've cut it. But it seems like this is working so far. For the most part. Oop. Yeah, I think we can get maybe one more out. I'm also trying to line them up on a... That one kind of fell apart on me, but I think we can work with it. I'm also trying to get these lined up on the cookie sheet so that none of them are touching. But now that you kind of have the general idea, I'm going to turn the camera off and do that with both halves of the dough. We'll come back when the cookies are ready to go in the oven. Well, I was expecting 48 cookies out of that batch, out of those two batches of dough to be a bigger ask than that, but it turns out each of these are on a 3x6 grid, I believe, yep. So 3x6 is 18, times 3 is 54, plus we got 2 extra, I think we got 4 extra cookies actually, so it looks like we got a total of 58 cookies. So these are going in the oven that we preheated at 350 until just turning golden, so 8 minutes. I'm going to go put these in the oven and we'll be back in probably about, I would say, 9 minutes. The cookies are probably long since cool, since I decided to actually get my workout in while they were cooling, because the recipe doesn't specify how long to let the cookies cool. But we'll go ahead and get the icing ready. So once again, this should be in the bowl of a standing mixer, but again, we're going to make do with the hand mixer. So we're going to take the 4 cups of the confectioner's sugar, which is also known as powdered sugar. Put that out. We've got our 1 cup container here. 1. 2. I'm scooping this out off camera. 3. And 4 coming up. Trying to clean some of the sugar dust off the camera. I did not mean to jar the camera at all with the cup container I was using. Try and get this a little bit cleaned off. So I'm passing the, I'm going to be passing the paper towel in front of the camera a little bit, but I think I got, most of the trouble spots there. So we can get that out of shot. Then we need let me close this back up. And that can go back up as well. There we go. Then we need 3 tablespoons of this meringue powder, which looks like it's egg white substitute. Okay, that's how it opens. Looks like it's got a plastic band that I need to break. There we go. Now the challenge is actually getting it off. Or that works too. And we need, what is it? 3 tablespoons of, tablespoons. So I got my 1.5 tablespoon here, which means I'll just use this twice. 1 and 2. Get that out of the way. Then that can go up as well, I think. And then we need 6 tablespoons of water, which is what this is for. There's 1, 2, and 3. I'm not going to go too far with that though, because now we want to mix it until it's combined for about 3 minutes. I should have my timer here. And I'm not going to go too far with that because if I need to add more water, that's probably what I'm going to start with. So, here's your 5-second warning before I turn the mixer on. I'll adjust that a little bit. There we go. I am almost certainly going to be adding more water to this. In fact, I'm actually going to kill that so I can. Start with another, few zip. Right, first added 2 tablespoons going in. We're making headway, but I think we need a little more water. Let me just give this a quick runniness check. I think that is probably about where we want it to be. So I'm gonna let it mix a little bit longer. We'll give it the 3 minutes here. Just felt my watch start to buzz. Looks like it's running decently well in there. So now would normally be the part. Now is supposed to be the part where I transfer this into a pastry bag and decorate it with sayings like "silence" and "off with our heads." But there are two problems. One, that's the tip on the pastry bag I got that's not conducive to decorating. And two, my decorating skills never got far beyond stick figures in the first place, so I think I'm going to have a much happier time with this if I spread the frosting over the cookies, wait for about an hour or so for the cookies to set, or for the icing to set, and then meet you guys back at my desk for the taste test. We're over here for the taste test. Just to point out, like I said, my decoration on these cookies was not great because my artistic skills didn't go far beyond stick figures. So, and the tip I had wasn't conducive to it anyway. But we've got enough here, so let's give this a try. Texture looks good. I'm not liking what I feel though as I pinch it lightly. I'm trying not to pinch it in case it goes through, but it seems like they're turning pretty hard. Let's find out. No, they're actually pretty good. The texture, I think the texture ended up being a little bit softer than I was expecting as long as they've been out. But not sure about the flavor. The frosting may need to do a little bit more with that. But that is the episode. That is the Temper Hearts for Mystical Munchies, and the month is in the books now. That was the last recipe for the Disney Villains Devilishly Delicious Cookbook. Next week will be in a new cookbook, but we'll detail more of that during the end of June recap next week. Also, the Title Bout 2 Greatest Boxer Tournament is still open for bracket submissions. So if you haven't, find the video on the channel that details the bracket, that details how the tournament's going to work. Fill out your bracket and email it over to me, along with the number of rounds you think each bout's going to take. If you win the tournament with the most points and everything's explained in the video, you'll actually get to pick a game I play on the channel in the first half of next year. If you get a perfect bracket, again, details in the video, you'll actually get to pick one of my Arkham Horror Files campaigns as well. But that's everything I wanted to talk about there. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.